Connection to the past, some sense of the presence of the past. Tell your kids stories about your forebears, about your traditions. Connection to nature, to the outdoors. Get them outdoors. Growing up in Chatham, I have an incredible connection to the beach. The beach speaks to me in ways that nothing else can. And I've been taking my kids for years to a little lake every summer. And I know when they grow up, they're going to have this feeling for that lake. It's appropriately named Doolittle. Isn't that a great name for a summer lake? Connection to activities that you enjoy. Expose your kids to as many activities as you possibly can. This is where you find out what lights up your brain. You want to expose them to as much as you possibly can, not to bolster their resume, but to find out what lights up their brain. You know, and the only way you find out what does that is to try as much as you possibly can to expose your child to as many activities as you can, to connect them to as many activities as possible. Connection to a pet. If you possibly can have a pet, have a pet. Pets are such great teachers of connection. You know, pets give unconditional love. Pets die. You know, pets poop. You know, and so it teaches you about loss, about responsibility, about love, and pets are just incredible teachers of connection and big lessons in life. Connection to information and ideas. And again, by that I don't mean how much you know. I mean, are you able to say, I don't know? I often tell the story of when I was at a dinner party in this city with one of my friends. It was one of those dinner parties where there are a lot of smart people. I don't think they have dinner parties in New York where there aren't a lot of smart people. But anyway, the guy sitting next to me, he was writing a book about de Kooning. And I said to him, who's de Kooning? Well, you would have thought I just pooped on the rug. I mean, you know, he all but held his nose, you know, and I'd had enough wine where I said to him, I said, look, if you think de Kooning is so cool, you ought to be thrilled to find someone who doesn't know who he is. So you can turn me on to de Kooning instead of making me feel small because I don't know who he is. And there was a silence at the table, and you know, and we ended up making up. And his book actually won the Pulitzer Prize. But for those of you who might not know, de Kooning was a painter contemporary of Jackson Pollock. But it's always stayed in my mind. I want my kids to be able to say, "Who's de Kooning?" You know, I want you to be able to say, "Who's de Kooning?" It doesn't disable you if you don't know who de Kooning is, but it does disable you if you can't say who's de Kooning. You know, so that's what I mean by connection to information and ideas, feeling at ease, not intimidated. And in this high information, high tech age, it's very easy to be intimidated by what you don't know and feel like, you know, you're somehow inadequate because nobody knows even a tiny fraction of what they think they ought to know. Connection to teams, groups, organizations, places where you have to show up, you know, where you're needed. So it's not just there for your own pleasure. You're there for the group. You give and take from the group. Some kind of spiritual connection. Now, in this scientific age, this connection is often skipped over because people don't know what to do with it, particularly very intelligent, educated people. Or they had a bad experience with it growing up. They were traumatized, you know, by their introduction to spirituality. Don't skip it. Don't skip over it. I happen to be Episcopalian, so we've done it with our children in that framework. But it really isn't a matter of the dogma that creates the spiritual connection. It's a matter of the questions, honoring the questions, and creating a forum that you visit regularly to wonder together, to wonder together. And in that space between what is known and not known, that's the space for the spiritual connection. And it's a very important part of life. It's a big mistake to skip over it because you don't know the answer. It's all about not knowing. I love the prayer of the man who said, Lord, help me always to search for the truth, but spare me the company of those who have found it. You know, so don't feel you need to know the answers. Nobody knows the answers. Nobody. Just bring your children into the world of questions, big questions. It's, by the way, a wonderful space to play in. And then as you create this connected childhood, you will find something amazing happen. You will find your children naturally develop a positive connection to self and to life, a positive connection to themselves and to life. And that's a wonderfully reverberating circuit. I like me, I like life. I like life, I like me. Each one reinforces the other. The goal is not for your child to love himself or love herself. I think that term is overdone in mental health. I don't know about you, but I know quite a few people who love themselves who shouldn't. You know, the goal is that you like yourself enough that you can be real. You like yourself enough that you don't have to put on airs. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. And if you can do that, other people will pick up on that, and then they'll feel permission to be the same, and then you get a genuine connection. And that's the best in life.